ifs that combine in a million different ways to make that moment possible. And if you need to hear that sentence again, no shame. It's complicated as the sovereignty of God, yet as simple as if. Gustav Eiffel did not build his tower so Laura and I could kiss on top of it. Nevertheless, his if made it possible. And it's your ifs that open doors of opportunity for others, most of whom you won't meet on this side of eternity. But make no mistake about it, every little if makes an exponential difference across time and eternity. History is like an intricately interwoven tapestry with infinite patterns that only the omniscient one can see and foresee. But if threads the needle. Your ifs don't just change the trajectory of your life, they change the course of history. Our kiss atop the Eiffel Tower is part of a chain reaction that started when I wondered if Laura would go out with me. Then I acted on that if. Well, actually, I dialed and hung up a few times first. You could get away with that before caller ID. Long story short, one if led to another if, which led to I do. The net result? 22 years of marriage and 3 ifs named Parker, Summer, and Josiah. If you stop and think about it, everything begins with if. Every achievement from the Nobel Prize to the Oscars begins with what if. Every dream from landing a man on the moon to moon pies created to commemorate it begins with what if. Every breakthrough from the internet to iTunes begins with what if. There are 1,784 ifs in the Bible. Most of those ifs function as conditional conjunctions on the front end of God's promises. If we meet the condition, God delivers on his promise. So all that stands between your current circumstances and your wildest dreams is one little if. One little if can change everything. One little if can change anything. On August 15, 1987, Howard Schultz was faced with the toughest decision of his life, whether or not to buy a small chain of coffee houses with the strange name Starbucks. Knowing what we know now, it seems like a no-brainer. But to Schultz, the $3.8 million price tag felt like a case of the salmon swallowing the whale. In his memoir, Pour Your Heart Into It, the architect behind the Starbucks brand reflects on his what-if moment. This is my moment, I thought. If I don't seize the opportunity, if I don't step out of my comfort zone and risk it all, if I let too much time tick on, my moment will pass. I knew that if I didn't take advantage of this opportunity, I would replay it in my mind for my whole life wondering, what if? Howard Schultz made a defining decision to give up the safety net of his $75,000 salary to pursue his passion for all things coffee. Starbucks stock went public 5 years later on June 26, 1992. It was the second most actively traded stock on the NASDAQ that day, and by the closing bell, its market capitalization stood at $273 million. Not bad for a $3.8 million investment. Starbucks now has 16,580 stores in 40 countries, with revenues topping $4.7 billion, and their 137,000 employees totals twice the population of Greenland. By conservative estimates, Starbucks sold 3,861,778,846 cups of coffee last year, not to mention the other 87,000 possible drink combinations. And every sip of every drink started with what if. For the record, my favorite drink at Starbucks is a caramel macchiato. Just because we own and operate an independent coffee house in Capitol Hill doesn't mean I'm anti-establishment. Listen, if I'm nowhere near Ebenezer's Coffee House, I'll take caffeine wherever I can get it, which, thanks to Starbucks, seems like every other street corner in America. If you reverse engineer Starbucks all the way back to its humble origins, it started with Howard Schultz's what if. That's true of Ebenezer's too. What if we built a coffee house where our church